everybody? We're back with another new episode of the Last Wave podcast. We dive into topics like ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, conspiracies, and more. As always, thanks for listening. It really means a lot. Check out the Facebook page if you haven't already. It's the same name and photo that you see on YouTube. A lot of cool stuff on there so far, and a lot more planned. Thanks again. So let's jump into it. Today we're going over what I call the curse. And this is an episode from the ad that I put on Craigslist. If you haven't heard any of my previous videos on that so far, basically I put an ad out on Craigslist asking, for paranormal stories, asking if I could give assistance and even, do some home blessings if people needed. It's got a lot of responses. So, again, I've spoken about it in previous episodes, so that's really all it is. And like I said, I've gotten definitely some wary responses, but I did get a few that turned into really long, extended conversations. As always with this, I'm going to use different names. It's usually Mr. or Mrs. Smith. Most of what remains after a few changes is factual. And it's just to, keep their identity safe because, you don't want that getting out there. So, I do have a couple more episodes of this coming up that are already written out. So definitely stay tuned. It's going to get pretty deep and pretty serious on some of these. So we'll get into it. All right. Let's see. This is one wild contact that I did receive. Again, I will use the name Mr. Smith. So just be prepared for that. I received an email from a gentleman named Mr. Smith. He was concerned and asking questions regarding curses and things of that nature. The conversation started out just as that, just questions. Then it took an interesting turn when I found out he thought he could be cursed and possibly knew exactly why. He reported that on vacation, he and his wife visited a famous gravesite. The grave belonged to a well-known witch, and one they made at least one movie about, and is fairly well spoken of, among other circles and books, and it's well known. I'm just going to leave it at that to protect the information of these people, and I don't want Facebook posts and crazy stuff getting out, so we'll just leave it at that. And also, before you say it could be a lie, you really just have to take my word for it on these. I could tell better stories. I enjoy writing as it is, so I could tell better stories than these mostly directly typed out stuff. So just trust me on that. Maybe I'll throw up some, I'll do some speaking on my books or something like that. So, but you really just have to take my word for it. These are all contacts through emails and phone. I mean, this is, again, other than names and one or two locations, everything here is completely what I received. So, they came to me because they couldn't bring these concerns to others. I mean, would you start asking your family or friends if they thought curses were real? And a lot of that is the main reason I sent out the email, just to contact people like this and be that person that they do contact. And just try to get answers when you can't really go to your family and friends because you're afraid you'll sound like a crazy person. So, anyway, Mr. Smith stated and sent me a picture of himself by the gravesite, holding up an item. It was a flower that he found growing near the base of the headstone. He remembers removing it and taking the flower, but couldn't recall putting it back or just tossing it later. Regardless, his concern was removing this item and the fact that he removed it. Disturbing the grave of a powerful, known to be dark witch never bodes too well. In one of my episodes, I'm not sure if it'll be up at this point, I'll talk about the Bell Witch. One of the legends regarding this is that two children remove a Native American skull or a bone from a cave, and this sets off a haunting that actually becomes America's first major documented haunting. Even today, people visiting the Bell Witch Cave that are brave enough to take even a rock or a stick often send them back with letters pleading for the item to be returned. So there's plenty of paranormal historical evidence why you do not mess with grave sites, gravestones, and things of that nature. Mr. Smith reported within 3 weeks of the trip, the health issues started. He tore an Achilles in his foot or ankle. Out of work and bedridden, his wife lost her ability to walk due to hip issues, leading to a total hip replacement. Less than 6 months after the visit, due to these and other health issues, both lost their respective jobs. And due to this and other stresses, the marriage ended a year after the visit. He reported there were other mishaps and bad luck, illnesses, but those were the biggest events. At the time of emailing, late 2018, they were not even on speaking terms. Sadly, I did reach out to the email that I had stored for Mr. Smith for an update, and it said failed to deliver. So sadly, I didn't get an update on the current situation. During our conversations, though, I did tell him certain things that he could try. Turns out there is a salt bath recipe to cleanse your body of curses and evil energy. The reason you see salt working like that in movies and TV, where they put it on the doorways and things of that nature, is because salt is a pure preservative. Evil and demons and dark entities and things of that nature, they seek to decay. So the symbology of a pure preservative is the opposite of that. Iron also works in this fashion. You see that in movies as well, because it is found mostly in meteorites, which come from the heavens, so the sky. So it seems there are certain rules in what I would say is magic and ethereal law, really, that certain entities are banished or banned or harmed or kept away by certain items, even herbs like sage, that's a really famous one. So there's definitely evidence for that. As I told him, mainly to surround himself with things that would purify the area. Again, burning sage, different crystals, as well as a religious material matching his personal religion. Different crystals, which was his religion was Christian loosely. Different items will elicit different responses, so I attempted to cover a wide array of possibilities to stop or end the curse. I like to update on these stories when I can, so I really hate that I couldn't reach out to him through email. That is the biggest downfall of doing an ad on Craigslist. Sometimes you don't always get the best contact information. But I think with what I gave him, and he should have been able to at least make some kind of progress with the items and the methods that I provided, and that are time tested, by professionals that have been doing this type of research much longer than I have. So I do hope that really helped that person, and I guess I will never really know, so that stings a little bit, but hopefully it did help him. One of the major things that I've seen throughout this, investigation, like I said, that one was late 2018. So I've had these ads out there for a while and haven't even reposted them in a while, probably since the beginning of this year, and I'm still getting responses from last week. I've gotten responses. So there's still a lot of people out there that really just want answers. They're not looking. I do get some, as I've said before, some responses that are just people messing around or making fun or making jokes, yada, yada, yada. But the majority of people that really send me the emails and really want to talk about it are just looking for someone to talk to and looking for answers. And half the time just digging into their issue a little bit, and then letting them know that there's a community of people out there that are also going through it. A lot of times that just helps for them to know they're not so isolated. Because a lot of the stuff, like I said, you don't want to go to your parents or your family or friends because of the stigma around it. So that's really the main point of the service I try to provide. I don't guarantee anyone that I can save them from demons or something like that, but I just like to provide what answers I can and with the knowledge that I've gathered over the years. So I like to think I've helped them as well as a few other people. Information, I would say The moral of the story is to leave grave sites and gravestones alone. Curses are no laughing matter and have been around for thousands of years. You got curses, obviously the famous curses of Egyptian tombs and King Tut's curse, Pharaoh's curses. You just don't mess with grave sites. Obviously, Native American lore and movies like Poltergeist, legends of that nature. You don't mess with their stuff or build on that land because of that, because of the curses that could follow. There's no good reason to mess with the dead. Keep in mind that you never know who could be buried 6 feet under you. All right, again, that's pretty much all I've got for today. It's kind of a short episode, but the ones dedicated to the ad are usually going to be shorter. Things that I can really expand on and do research on, that's different. But these are really dedicated to one or a couple people's story. So they're kind of shorter. But as always, thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. This episode has really gotten me thinking about doing a haunted graves or like cursed graves around the world episode. So maybe we'll do that another day. But again, appreciate you listening or watching. I hate to think you're watching because I only have one picture up. Maybe we'll make that a little flashy and a little better at a later point. But I like the format I've got going. You can listen to it on the way to the store, while you're out and about, while you're at school. Quick little podcast to get your day going. Cool little information. So again, thanks for listening, and check out the Facebook page. Throw a like on the video. Whatever kids are doing these days. No, we'll catch you next time.